Sometimes you can't get to your calendar spread until the month is already over. Hi, I'm Hannah, and let's make a calendar spread for March, a month we just experienced, and boy, was it a doozy, especially if you live in America. So, let's make something beautiful in our journals because that's within our control. So, find something nice to drink, sit back, put on something cozy, and maybe journal along with me. Here I have discovered my second mistake of this spread, and I have not realized yet that I've made another, but I'm going to continue on. I have a white paint marker that I'm going to use to clean up the lines, and it's okay. Sometimes you just miscount your dots and you put your lines in the wrong place, even if you pencil it out first, and that's fine. The beautiful thing about making a journal spread in your journal is that it's for you, it's for your sake. So if you can like it, that's great. That's all that's necessary. So I'm going to continue on to make the numbers in the month of March. I didn't have anything really to put in this spread, so it's mostly for decoration. And here are some of the things I'm going to be using. I'm going to use not a single one of those things, but you know what? We tried. I also tried to do an unboxing of this, and there's a reason why people don't show you how hard it is to open these. It took me a very long time. This is very sped up. And just know that every time you see someone showing a washi tape, they went through a lot of grief to get you to see those rainbows. I don't use either of these a single time in this spread, but man, they're pretty. At this point, I just wanted to stick something down. And when I want to do that, I use a washi tape. Sometimes I use a washi tape to line the edges of my spread just to get me started, just to get some colors down on the page, to have some framing for the things that I want to use around it. I really wanted to use this tape, and so I used quite a lot of it. And it actually created a situation where I couldn't use some of the elements I wanted to, such as those beautiful rainbow tapes and some of these black stickers, because this palette here was difficult to balance. This very sparkly lady works well because some of the other elements mute out the black a little bit, so it's not quite so dark against that more sepia toned washi tape like the other darker stickers were. They were just a little too much, and I couldn't create enough balance to make my particular taste, my eye, happy. So I ended up not using them. I always recommend not sticking things down immediately, moving things around, trying things out. So then you end up with something that you're really enjoying and feel like you planned out well. I like to try and stick with a theme, pick a color palette so it's easier for me to choose things. I knew for certain I wanted to use these rocky, mossy, ancient stone thingies. So I stuck those down because I needed to feel at least a little bit decisive somewhere. I was having a really hard time deciding on everything at this point because I was feeling a little nervous. This is my first time making a video. This is my first time filming a video like this with this setup. So I was feeling uncertain and I knew I needed some space filler. So I chose a couple of washi tapes that I thought looked very nice together and stuck with the vibe. And the vibe I was going for was late winter, early spring. In Oregon, March is when things start to grow a little bit more. My cat just meowed at me. My cat is very concerned about why I have the door partially closed so that I can film, and I hope that she can meow into the microphone. Hello, Chris. We have all been blessed. That was my dear Persephone. She is very, very sweet and a little bit dumb, so any change is quite a lot for her, and she has to tell me about it. Thank you, my girl. Back to the theme. So last month, as you can see here, was very black and red and romantic, and so I wanted to ease myself into spring by using some greens as well as some of these sepia tones that still honor where we're at, which is the end of winter. But we need some sparkle to get us through this last little bit of it. All right, everybody, I need you to stand back, hold your breath, and give me a moment because I'm going to be doing some hand lettering. And I will soon realize I do know how to do hand lettering, so let's go ahead and go through the rest of it here. I do make a very rookie mistake by trying to thicken up this line. And Tombows create darker lines when you go over them again. And I know this very well. And so I tried to lean into it to see if I liked that better. And I don't. So I'm going to go ahead and do it again. That's all right. Sometimes the second time looks far better than the first time, and sometimes it looks worse. So let me know in the comments right now which one you would have preferred me to choose, because I couldn't quite decide. So I'm really glad that this is partially off camera so that you don't get too attached, because I end up not using this one despite that looking just fine the way it is right this second. But we're going to have the spirit fingers of indecision and do something just ever so slightly different. There are so many things that could have looked good in this. And that makes it hard. Like, it looks really good right there. It looks really good over there. And I just decided to put it in the middle. So please let me know in the comments what you would have preferred me to do. If you think that I should have just absolutely thrown all of this away into the trash, that would be great, because any and all hate comments will still feed the algorithm and let it know that my videos are worth watching, and it will show it to other people. So go wild. Okay, so I took a break at this point. I took a shower, I ate something, and I felt a lot better, and realized that I would like just a little something something in this space over here. And so this washi tape was perfect. Just a little sparkle, but not too much. But I want a little bit more on this page. I wasn't quite done with her. So I cleaned up my edges and added another sparkly girl. You can never have too many sparkly girls in your life. I don't think I will be linking products in my description, mostly because that sounds like a lot of effort. And I encourage you to look in your stash and see if you have something similar. Look at it with new eyes. I had very panicked hand because I thought I lost the little greebly that I cut off with the sparkly girl, but clearly I found it. And I kind of wish I had put it on the white page so that you could see it better. In person, though, it looks a lot better on the green. So that, yeah, this is for me anyway. I again had a hard time deciding. I looked at so many different things until finally that was it. That was the thing I was going to put in that spot. And then I probably dropped my tape, and I wasn't at all frustrated. And then it was difficult to get off of the tape, and I was still not frustrated. This is such a calming activity, and I love it all the time. Just love not knowing where to put things and putting it down and peeling it up over and over again. And then finally you find the spot, just, oh, and stick it down. Adding another thing here, hello, top of my head. And I really liked this last edition of adding in the little highlight. I wasn't actually going to do that on this spread, but I'm glad that I did. It really tied everything together and makes it look complete. Moving on. On this page, I typically do a habits, but the month is over. That seems really silly. So I'm going to do a favorites page on this side, and then the other side is going to be my spending tracker, which I am going to fill in. I'm copying my spread from the previous month because I do not have these numbers of dot grids memorized. This is only my third month doing an actually structured dot grid journal. Typically, I use my journals as journals. I decorate the edges and then use the dot grid to help my handwriting from going all over the page. And I do really, really enjoy that. But there's something very satisfying about using the grid to make boxes and spaces that you can fill in with information that will help you feel a little bit more organized. I'm not a very organized person, and that's totally okay. I love my little cricket fingers here. So I'm creating the headings on my spending tracker, and then I'm going to highlight every other line. Enjoy. Now I can fill out this space without being afraid of taking up space that I need for my spending tracker. And here I'm measuring out to see if I can cover up these washi tapes with that other tape, just to add a little bit of visual interest and try something new. And I'm really glad that I did that. I did have to write spending 3 times before I was satisfied with a heading for my spending tracker. And here I write habits out of habit. I had already decided it was going to be a favorites page, and I don't realize for an embarrassing long amount of time. I still don't know. She's still oblivious at this point. And then here's where she realizes. I probably should have taken a break at this point, but I just forged ahead and wrote out favorites on this little scrap of paper because I wanted to use every bit of paper that I could, but I didn't like it. And so I just needed to get a new piece of paper and try again. And it's good enough. It is just fine. It probably would have looked just fine with the other one too, but sometimes you just have to go out of your way to make the little perfectionist in your brain slightly happier. It's never fully satisfied, and you have to just accept that sometimes. It's going to look just nice, plenty good. So here's some good ripping things content. I do like watching other people rip things up. I try very hard to use all of the things that I rip up, but I will admit I have a drawer of little scraps that may never see the light of day, but I'm going to hoard them just in case. I separated the washi tape into two different sections here so that the headers felt very separate from each other because these two pages have two separate functions, so they are separated. A really interesting thing about doing this video is that I realized I have terrible thumb posture. My thumb kind of disappears into my hand, and I don't think that that's how you're supposed to hold your hand. So I'm going to work a little bit harder on holding my hands in a better way. I'm sorry I've pointed it out. You're now going to notice it every single time, but hopefully that will keep me accountable in holding my fingers in a better way. I love how in frame this is. I love that for all of us. So now I'm going to not put this down because I realized that I wanted to do an every other line highlight. And so I'm going to do that before I stick this down, and I'm going to immediately do it wrong. And so I needed to just roll with it. So I did that, and I think that that was the right choice, but then I did it wrong again, and then I did it wrong again. And we're going to pretend like I did that on purpose, and I'm using those blocks to create differentiated spaces for me to write my favorite things. That was a choice, and not because I'm a little bit dyslexic, and so dots and repeated things are a little hard for my eyes to see. We're gonna continue and put down some mossy little stones that are just so cute. I like having these little things to add to things. And I really, really wanted to use this sticker sheet, but I couldn't find a place for it. Then I held my tweezers like a weapon, and I took a really long break. This is more than a week later that I decided to do a reflections page. I have one for February that I haven't filled out, and for January that I did fill out. I know it's kind of a strange choice to have my reflection pages so far away from my trackers, but I like reading things in sequence, and so this works for me. You do you in your journals. I'm using the washi tapes from the other two pages because I really liked that combination together, and I wanted to repeat it so that these pages felt like they were from the same month. In the amount of time between filming these first pages and now, I've learned a lot about filming and photography, and I'm really excited about it, but there are still so many things to learn. As of this voiceover, I don't know how to put things onto YouTube yet, or put music on them, or anything. But I do know how to put sound effects on things, so aren't we glad about that? It's a really strange feeling to not know how I'm going to make what I'm currently making see the light of day, but we are going to figure it out. Wait a second. I'm going to look into my junk drawer and see if I have any little scraps of this washi tape left over, and I'm going to look for a really long time, but I'm not going to find anything. So I will continue on with tearing up this washi tape and using it exactly how I want to because it is mine and I purchased it. I will give you a moment to enjoy me cutting this out slightly more in frame this time. When I was initially filming about a week ago, I found myself getting a little bit frustrated, and I felt silly about it because I love doing this so much, but It turns out that these supplies are very hard to work with. Some of these things were really difficult to get off of their backing, and I am right for being frustrated by it. This was the wrong tape. So I just decided to use a tape I had on my desk. And I am glad because it needed a little bit more of that greenery in it anyway. But see, I had a little tantrum because this washi tape is really hard to get off its backing. But in the process of doing it, I realized that I could do some very nice close ups with this lens. All of that was very beautifully in frame. And so that's exciting to know that my camera that I purchased is doing a really good job for me. So I ripped that little cabin there, but it's just fine. It stuck down just fine. But another piece, as I'm pulling this off, it took forever. It also ripped. And I quickly gave up and decided to hide it behind the woman here because I just didn't have the patience to try and piece that back together. I really feel validated and vindicated because of how frustrated I initially was in making the spread. It's because of the supplies. It wasn't because of me or my indecision or anything like that. It's because these were just particularly tough. I love a kiss cut tape, but sometimes it's a little bit at what cost? So I added some stickers to this spread and then decided it didn't fit with the previous pages. And so I took them off and put them back. And it's not the first time I took those stickers off and put them back. And you know what? It is what it is. So that is just going to go down there. And I'm going to decide that I'm not going to add any more there. But I am going to add some every other line highlight here. I really questioned myself, but I committed and went ahead and did it because I really do like every other line highlight, and I would like to get better at it. And the only way to get better at things is to practice it. So we're doing that here. I was trying to count out halfway through this page, and I don't know why I did that because I went off of vibes anyway, and it worked out perfect. We love a project that encourages us to go with the flow. Thank you for joining me in making my March 2025 calendar, completed in April. But as a friend so kindly said to me, it's still relevant. March will happen again. Thank you for that perspective. I hope that you had a little bit of fun with me, got some inspiration, enjoyed watching my foibles, and I'm really excited for the next one. I've already started filming it, and so you will see me soon. Here I am writing my one and only thing I had to write in my March calendar, which was a haircut. And it went very well. Thank you for asking. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. Remember, you are loved, and I'll see you next time. Bye.